Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. In today's review I'm going to be taking a look at the newly released Newage H22 Chimera free pack of Reflector. Now before I begin this review, if you are in the market for adding this set to your collection, it is available and in stock right now over at TF Safari, and for that I will leave a link down in the description box below to both a direct link to this listing as well as a link to their front page. And be sure to use code for Prime vs Prime for a discount off of your total order. So taking a look here at the Reflector free pack, I think that Newage have once again knocked it out of the park with this set. I previously took a look at the Newage Starscream last year and was absolutely blown away with what they were able to accomplish with such a small scale, and they've managed to accomplish once again an amazing amount of detail, articulation and engineering into even smaller figures. So you can see here that for the most part all three of these figures are more or less identical, other than the fact that they all have individual distinctive head sculpts as well as distinctive blasters, and the middle one here, which I guess is of course the leader of the Reflector pack, does indeed have a lens sculpted into his chest, whereas the other ones are more like drones. Taking a look here at the detailing in the face sculpts, you can see that we have got some amazing sculpted silver paint application. You can see all of the sculpt work such as the mouth, the nose, the eyes, all of the paint applications are incredibly crisp and correct. I really love this front torso section as well, with this transparent green plastic and then the silver camera lens underneath. Really very awesome. The arms are just a grey plastic, however have got some nice clean red stripe detailing, and then as we turn down to the crutch area as well as the lower torso, you can see very smooth, very elegant in terms of their design with some really nice crisp paint applications. I'm a huge fan of the colour of purple that they've used on these as well, and I think that the balance between grey and purple too is also incredibly consistent with what we've seen of the Reflectors in the G1 cartoon series. You can see here that for his blaster it has indeed been picked out in a nice silver, and bringing them all in for a quick head sculpt comparison, you can see the differences between the face sculpts. So the middle one here has a more stern expression, whereas this one has a slightly more less serious expression with him almost looking as if though he's smirking, and then the third one here just looks as if though perhaps he's angry, mad, or perhaps thinking about what he's doing. I'm really quite unsure as to what type of facial expression this is, but once again it's nice to see that all three of them do have different elements in order to distinguish themselves from one another, so that's really cool. Taking a look at the articulation is the same for all three of them. So we have a ball joint here at the head. Due to their minute size, it is very difficult to actually rotate that, but you can see it looks left to right. It can look up to an absolute fantastic degree as well as look down. The arms are on ball joints so they can rotate 360. Due to transformation you do get a fake butterfly joint as well, so you can bring that in closer to the torso. They can of course hinge out to the sides. We get ball joints here allowing for a full 360 range of motion at the elbow as well as a 90-degree bend there at the elbow. No wrist articulation unfortunately, however the wrists are hinged due to transformation so they can hinge back and forth. We do surprisingly get a full range of motion here at the waist, so the waist can rotate 360, the legs can kick forwards that far as well as back to about that far, and the joints on such a small figure are incredibly stiff and sturdy. He can also do the splits to a fantastic degree, rotate the full 360 there at the thigh as well as bend at a 90-degree bend there at the knee. He does indeed have a second hinge joint which you can utilise, however it doesn't really give you that great range of motion due to this whole back kibble here. So really and truly, despite what hinge joint you use, you're only really going to get a 90-degree range of motion. For the ankles here, they can hinge in and out, so that's a great degree of motion, and due to transformation they can also pivot forwards and backwards. So in terms of the scale, I think that the articulation is absolutely astounding. So just stacking them all up, you can see that they are more or less exactly the same in terms of their sculpts, which of course they really were in the G1 series. And you can see the difference here in the blasters. Very, very nicely painted. No paint bleeds, no QC issues on these. Newage have once again done an astounding job. For a size comparison, let's bring out a Magic Square figure. Here we have the Magic Square Megatron. And despite both of these being from completely different lines, I still think that the Reflectors here scale really nicely with the Magic Square Megatron. So if you do pick this set up by Newage and tend to only collect Magic Square figures, I can assure you that the scale here works really nicely. And considering that they're all in the Legend scale, I think that they would all scale really nice across the board anyway. So in terms of a scale, very awesome amongst some of the other figures, but of course Megatron was already a really small figure, so to see how significantly smaller he is to these Reflectors really is astounding, especially taking into account how much engineering and articulation each of them do indeed have. Now, turning to the transformation of the set, as these three are very similar in terms of their molds, I will only be showcasing the transformation on one, as these two figures here, which make the sides of the camera, are identical. It's just their parts are reversed, so the transformation for these is exactly the same. Where things get slightly different is here with the center section. However, I will show you the differences in transformation for this center section later on in the review. So let's turn to this section here of the camera. To begin transformation, you're of course just going to want to remove the blaster. We can then come to this section and you're going to want to flip out this panel, rotate to this here, come to this side as well, and then just flip open this panel. Once you've done that, we can take the feet, hinge those outwards, and then these sections here will hinge all the way back and clip into place, and then just fold this over the top. Repeat the same process here, so just hinge all this back, snap that nice and securely into place, and then with these you can just take these, give them a nice squeeze and tab those together. Come to this section and take this front torso piece and hinge this all the way up. We can then fold the elbows at roughly 90 degrees and then fold the wrists up so that you're left with something that looks along the lines of this. Of course, repeat the same process here, and then you're going to want to bring these together, and you can see a tab that will slide into this slot, and each of them have got a tiny tab there and there that will plug into these two slots here. So just bring these close to the middle. They are rather fiddly due to their scale, so patience is definitely a virtue with this set, although the transformation isn't by no stretch of the imagination complex. Tab those in, hinge this section out, hinge this piece back, take this here and rotate this around and just align that up nice and appropriately. Come here now and you're going to want to collapse all of this in upon itself. So just snap all that in, take the feet, compress those, bring this section out. You can see under here you've got this piece that needs to swing out, and then just compress that. Repeat that for the opposite side. Now, turning to the differences in terms of transformation here for the center section, you can see the legs transform the same, as so do the arms. However, the upper torso is slightly different. So to showcase that, you're going to want to lift this whole section up. You can see that this piece here is going to want to lift up, and then you can hinge that all the way over the top. And here at the back, you can see a screw. You're going to want to push that forwards, and then that will extend the torso piece out. So pull that all the way out. And then we do the exact same thing as we did previously. We bring the arms in together. And then we just align those up. Tab those into place. Bring this section over the top. And you can see that that will tab there. And then with this, that will tab there. And then we just compress our legs. Snap all of this nice and securely into place. And that is all of the elements of our reflector camera fully transformed. So let's begin combining them. You can see a tab and a slot here that you're going to want to tab these sections in together, and you can see where this green piece will align up with the opposite section, and then come to this side here and repeat the same process. However, this time you can see a slight locking mechanism that will clip into this piece just to solidify the overall look of the camera. So push all of this forwards, take this section here, overlap over the top, and that is our Newage reflector fully transformed. However, of course, we're missing the vital component, which is of course the camera lens, and that is of course because it is indeed a separate piece. So you can see here 2 tabs at the top and 2 tabs at the bottom. You're just going to want to align those up with the slots in the camera. Give this a nice squeeze so that all the tabs clip in nice and securely. And that is the completed reflector camera, and I think this looks absolutely amazing. You can see here at the front, it's very clean, very G1 accurate to what we saw in the show as well. It's got some lovely detailing, such as the detailing here in the lens. And then as we turn around to the back, it looks slightly less desirable. You can clearly see the arms and the legs there, but considering its minute scale, I honestly don't think that's an issue whatsoever. I really do think this is a very cool camera, and even as a novelty set, I think this is awesome. But it does also have lights and sounds, so in order to activate those, you just want to push this button here at the top, and you can see there that the lens will indeed flash, and it will begin making a flashing sound. Now, the glaring obvious problem with this is that of course the front lens never flashes. It's always the flash here at the top, and we don't have a flash here at the top unless this section is supposed to be it. However, when you turn around, this looks like the piece you're supposed to look through. So unless this section here is supposed to be the flash, I'm not entirely sure. But due to how this transforms, I couldn't see any way that they could have put an LED function in that. And honestly, I just think that this is quite a cool feature as well. It's something that you don't have to do, but the option is most certainly there. Comparing this here now to the Magic Square Megatron, you can see that they were very small in their robot mode. However, when you transform them into their camera mode, they compact into an even smaller figure. You can see that in terms of height, there really isn't much to it. And overall, just a very fun, very awesome looking set. Also included with this set is a very small version of Reflector in their camera mode, so you can see that this is probably most likely to scale with some of the other Newage figures, as of course this is definitely not in scale with them. You can see that it's massive compared to even the Magic Square Megatron, so it's really nice that they did indeed include this, as it's a nice accessory for some of your other figures to hold, and you can see that there is just a peg there that will more than likely slide into any of the other Newage figures. So that was my review for the newly released Newage Reflector 3-pack. Personally, I actually really do enjoy this set. I think all three of them look fantastic in their robot modes. Very Masterpiece-esque in terms of the sculpt work and the panel detailing, and then just the overall paintwork. I think that they look very high grade. It's absolutely astounding to me to see how small they are, yet how much articulation and engineering these figures pack in. I think that both Newage and even Magic Square are doing a terrific job, and these Legend class figures are something completely different that really no other third-party company is approaching. So it's awesome to get the Reflector crew here in a Newage format, and I think the transformation from robot mode to camera mode is really fun. I like that they all have their own distinguished head sculpts as well as their own distinguished blasters. It just creates for a more visually appealing look, and it gives some characterization to some of the characters which could potentially just be standard drones, so that's quite nice. I really do actually quite like the electronic function here with the camera lens. Although it may not be accurate to a real life camera, it's still quite a nice feature nonetheless, and overall I'm thoroughly impressed with this set. So with all that being said, if you are in the market for picking this set up, it is available and in stock right now over at TF Safari, and for that I will leave a link down in the description box below, and also be sure to use code for Prime vs Prime for a discount off of your total order. I really hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, please do let me know down in the comment section below. Also be sure to let me know whether or not you'll be adding this set to your collection, and until my next review, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.